In the land of ski resorts, financial fraud, and impeccable painting and artistry skills, we have arrived. Hello, everyone, and welcome to round 12 of the NEF1 Championship. This week, we are at the Red Bull Ring in Austria for the Austrian Grand Prix. One of the staples, yet again, on the NEF1 calendar, and it usually provides for a very entertaining race, no doubt. On this game, that might prove a bit different. We are bound to have a massive DRS train throughout this Grand Prix, and breaking that toe is going to be next to impossible. If you can get out ahead, then there's a very, very chance that you end up the winner of this race. But wait and see, we've got 18 minutes of qualifying action before we even get to thinking about that stage. And it is going to be a quick lap around here. Just over a minute in terms of lap time makes it the fastest lap on the NEF1 calendar. And on the F1 calendar in general, only ever beaten by the short layout of Bahrain. Those ran for one season and one season only, which actually saw us with a really, really good race a couple of years back during the COVID season. So please give us that back. It was actually really, really entertaining. Alright team, 17 people on the grid, then hybrid, once again substituting in that Mercedes-AMG Petronas. He is currently sitting in P1, but in the pit lane, as we've got a couple of people coming out on track. Djokovic's done well here in the past. He'll be hoping for a good result after coming very, very close to the win, but again, so far off last week out in Qatar for the Mystery Grand Prix. Ondrejek still yet to make a serious impression with a win in his stint back in the F1. Can he get that today? We'll wait and see, but definitely one of the favourites heading into the weekend, as he always should be. Squidge 2017 now with an uphill battle to climb. He needs to basically outscore Test by 10 points per race if he wants to clinch this championship. Can that be done? Mathematically, yes. Realistically, it is going to be incredibly hard. Tess is in the driver's seat for the championship now, but the Constructors' Championship is wide open. Red Bull lead Williams by 30 points to the mark, and that is bound to change after this race as well. We expect Williams to maybe be the stronger team in general heading into the latter half of the season once Ondrejek gets up to speed, but he needs to get up to that speed relatively quickly. Qualifying track then, and this is something that should suit Squidge 2017 like a glove. Very, very fast lap around here. Low downforce, not too many corners, only 9 of them to navigate in total. But the ones that you do have, you want a bit of downforce for, but you always want to be rapid around those long straights as well. So it's a bit tricky setting your car up for this one, but prioritize straight line speed over most things. Here we go then, Squidge picking up a bit of toe of the McLaren of Jamar and heading into Sector 2. See what kind of a run he can get down into the only really interesting complex of corners around this place, which is this double left-hander, as Noah's at the fastest time of the session with a 1:04.292. So this is going to be quick laps. I believe we have 35 or 39 laps of racing around here. And very much on the edge there for Squidge, but we expect him to go fastest. He doesn't! So Noah with a 1:04.292, very much on pace, because the times for Squidge, Djokovic and Ondrejek are just below that. 1:04.471 through a 1:04.599 for Ondrejek. Now I'm very curious to see what a driver like, for example, Tess can do coming around that second sector. But he's on a medium set of tyres, which is always going to provide a bit of an offset. Could he even run into a bit of traffic from his teammate in that final sector? Yes, he can. He's diving into the pit lane already. It's Tess. Here comes Iwaz. Won here several times before in any F1. 8th on the grid for right now then. Hybrid in pit lane. Jamar's out on track, and Nassi's failed to beat out his teammate. Is Noah now on pace for a pole position around here? He has a gap of a 1/10 of a second down to Nassi, Squidge and Djokovic. BT is in 5th place right now with 1:04.590. BT, I was told, was not going to be listening to my streams anymore after last week, where he unfortunately had a bit of a mishap after hearing his name called out. We'll see if that holds true. I'll be testing that throughout the race. as J Mars sitting in 7th place at the moment, just behind Undercheck by a couple of attempts. Alpaca had a very, very strong result last week out as well, climbing closer to Sauber in the constructor standings, now just sitting 1 point behind his Haas F1. Is Alpaca going to be able to clinch that car up a couple of places? 11th, but not far off 10th, which is where she needs to be. Ideally, would be a bit higher, but it is a competitive field at the moment. Field spread of about 2 seconds. Wigan at the moment, slowest car that has been out on track. Hybrid and Tess still without lap times. Tess is now coming out on a set of soft tyres. So then, this is going to be telling then. If Tess can beat out Noah's time, no, there might be a bit of pace in that. If Tess has a problem beating that lap time, and Tess did not do too well around here last season, which would have been his NEF1 debut as well, mind that. If Tess can hook up a really good lap here, we'll see how Noah reacts to it. This is new territory for Noah, halfway into the qualifying session already soon, and sitting in P1 and looking comfortable. Or did he have a miraculous lap of pure pace? Here we go then. Tess for one lap to place him on the grid. We'll see where he ends up. He has a 104.292 to go. Is this session going to be weather affected? Right now I don't believe so. I'm not seeing any spots of rain. As Matt is pointing out in chat as well, top 10 is separated by just over a second. Just less than a second, sorry. So it is incredibly close. Top 11, top 12 separated by less than a second. It's going to be an interesting session, Van. Tess now going through Sector 2 in that Red Bull. And where is it going to be able to place that car? We'll just bring out those gaps real quick. As you can see, their field spread of about 1.5 seconds. As here we go then, for Tess. Is he going to go fastest? Yes, he is. By 0.2 of a second, beats out Noah. That is a really, really good lap from Tess. Just on the verge of breaking into the 103s, which means we'll probably see times in the 103s. Through this session. Matt is reporting there's a small chance for rain in both quali and the race. That is a small chance. We'll see if that comes into fruition. Djokovic, Beatty and Squid chat on laps along with Wigan and Hybrid. Say Beatty here in the kick. Sauber is running up the hill, heading into turn 3 to be defined as. Logically it'd be turn 2, it's actually turn 3 according to the FIA. Gets a decent exit. 104.590, half a second off provisional P1. And coming up to the Sector 2 split. Sector 1 split doesn't tell you too much around this place. Sector 2 split, BT is improving. So this could shake things up a little bit if he has a good third sector. We'll wait and see how it goes. Through the two last corners, the penultimate at last. Nice and early on the DRS, and it's a 104.549. Only improves by half a tenth of a second, doesn't improve up the order. Djokovic dips a tire too far out to the left and gets his lap invalidated. Now Squidge, oh, that was uncomfortable. Coming out of the penultimate corner, how fast is it going to be? Coming across the line, it is good enough for P2, not quite pole position worthy as of yet. Ondracek has just started a flying lap. for watching this man as well. Noah48 had provisional P1 locked for a good solid 6-7 minutes there until Tess was able to snatch it away from him. Now Squidge ahead of him as well. Novo is going to be on a pretty high confidence level to try to get that back. Needs to improve by 2.5 tenths, which is very much doable, depending on how good that first lap was. And Noah is improving, and he is on pace to improve by enough if he can keep a good rate of improvement up in the FAD sector. Goes past the Williams there. I assume that was Squidge. Yes, it was. Now then, 2 last corners for Noah. Nice and flowing through the penultimate corner. That is beautiful from Noah48. Round the final corner. Is it going to be good enough? Nah, it just misses out. Loses a bit of time in that last sector to his previous best. And it's only good enough for third. Underjack has improved up to fourth. It's a 104.256, sorry. Just on the cusp of edging up Noah. Not quite. Here comes Nassi. I don't think this is going to be an improvement. It's invalidated. It's not going to be an improvement. He's going to go for it again. Djokovic through sector 2. Who else on the lap? Matty Adam just starting up a lap. He's actually just finished one. It's a 104.680. So he'll be calming down on this lap and going for one more run. Hybrid's been able to get it up to P11. Iwat's currently sitting in P12 and struggling a bit for the fast corner. Now, massive toe on his slipstream down to turn 3. Is he going to be able to make anything off that? Or is Tess on a flying lap? A little bit of luck up there from the championship leader. Where's Alpaca coming into the pit lane? Wilco just coming around the final corner now to set yet another time. Is it going to be an improvement? No, it is not. 25.759. Nowhere near good enough. So here comes Darren into the first part of the lap. Doesn't improve in the fast sector. Kit has invalidated. Now Nassi chugging it into the penultimate corner. What's he going to be able to do? One corner to go for the Latvian, and it is going to be nothing else but P3 for the man. Just a 10th and a half off pole position right now, and Noah's been edged down to 4th. Samo comes into the pit lane at the end of his lap 5.5 minutes ago, and we've still got a lot of running left to do. Iwat's improves up to P10, forcing Jamer out of that top 10. We have a field spread of 0.8 of a second between the top 11. So it's an entertaining track for qualifying this as Jamer flies into the second sector. Austria, they made its return to Formula 1 in 2014. It's been over 10 years since then. It seems incredible. It's a nice flowing track, this. Very, very fun to drive, but it feels like a miniature go-kart track. And that is lap over for SFLY Jamer on the last moment as well, which is gonna destroy his next lap as well then. So that's destroyed the rhythm of Jamer's session just a little bit. Now, does he have time to get in and get out again? He should do. As Darren Stiles forcing his way around the third sector. Nothing coming of it. As Djokovic then is rounding the final corner now to start his final run with 3:55 to go. Djokovic then becomes the first out of drivers to start the final run of qualifying. Noah's out on an outlap early, so is Hybrid and Alpaca. Alpaca having a difficult time in 14th at the moment, but only 3/4 tenths of a second she'll be battling for P8, P9. Beatty at the moment holding that P8 relatively comfortable over Matty, a little over 1/10 of a second. Other than that, it's very, very tight between everyone. Djokovic then through the sector 2 split. What is he going to be able to do? Is it going to be good enough to challenge? He is improving by a couple of attempts as well. So this could see him propel a couple of places up the order. Needs to get ahead of Sam Obama and Ondracek for starters and then take the positions from there. When you're with undercheck, you're on reach of Nasi in P3 as well. What is Djokovic going to do? Round that final corner, aggressive but beautiful, only P6 for the man who also lost out in that last sector. Sup over 2 tenths going through the second one and only gained 1/10 in Vienna. Noah has set a time almost matching P1 time of Tess, but not quite. A 104.111 is probably the best that he'll be able to manage this session. Now, Squidge coming out late. Should Noah maybe have just stayed out a little bit longer to wait for track evolution to come into play? Could he regret that? We'll wait and see. But Tess with the upper hand now, with 2 minutes to go in qualifying. As Hybrid ends come across to improve, but not by enough. Wigan having a really difficult session right now in 16th. Definitely not Wigan season right now at all. Going through sector 2 now. Can he improve? Improving by a couple of tenths of a second. Needs to get into the P12, P11 conversation at least as Wigan. Definitely has the skill for it as well, but it's not quite going his way right now. Is that just a small spot of rain I was seeing? I'm not sure, but I don't think so. Here we go then. Wigan runs the final corner, gets up to 14th, but that's where his session is going to end. Squidge now. A bit of traffic ahead of him. That is the RB of Samo Bama who jumps straight out of the way. But Squidge is improving, and he's improving by enough to place a bid for P1 here. And Tess will need to improve on this next lap, because other people are going to improve past him. Here we go then. Squidge, 2 corners to go, 1 quarter to go now. And Tess gets a 5-second play. 5-place grid penalty for a collision with Kit, and that is massive. Squidge sets the fastest lap of the session so far. It's 103.970. What has happened for Tess? Collision then with Kit. No damage on that Red Bull. Crucially enough for him, he'll be able to continue on with his lap. That is going to be an investigation after the race, I'm sure, as to what happened. But right now, what's not going to change then is a 5-place grid penalty for Tess for a collision with Kit. If Kit's deemed to be a fault for that, we're taking a hefty penalty. If Tess deemed to be a fault, probably nothing more of it. What's the status of Kit's car? Looks relatively intact, and that was a spinning car on the outside of turn 9. Needs to get out of the way. That is Darren Style who's had an issue coming across the line, and that is his session over and done with. Now then, where is Nasi? He is going through sector 3 right now. He's just barely improving. Can he improve by his teammate? And what is Ondricek doing as well? We'll go on board with those two as they finish up their laps. And Tess, what is he going to be able to do now with that 5-place grid penalty at the track you can overtake at? Nasi, here we go then. Good enough for P2 right now. Not quite P1. Ondricek, can he dethrone his teammate for number 1 in the Williams team? No, he cannot. Misses out by a couple of tenths of a second. Djokovic is not going to be able to improve. Beatty is not in the conversation at the moment. But he's got the Red Bull off Tess straight behind him. Let's see how this plays out. Iwas is there as well. Beatty's improving by a couple of tenths. What is Tess doing? He is not improving by the look of things. And at this pace, he'll be starting in P8. Which is going to be very, very difficult for him. But he'll be able to make that work. And he's got a margin that is not a catastrophe. Tess is the fastest lap of the session somehow in that final sector. It looked down and out when I saw his sector 2 split, but he had a magical third sector. He gets pole position. He's not going to be P1 on the grid, but pole position still goes to Tess for 103.926, and that is a mighty, mighty lap that. Tess then with that 5-place grid penalty, still with the pole position lap, though it's going to give him a lot of confidence heading into the Grand Prix. Still, he'll be starting this race from P6, but that was one qualifying session to behold. 44 thousandths of a second, 70 thousandths of a second separate the top 3 and then it is very, very close between the top 10. Half a second separates the top 10, which is absolutely crazy. Smallest gap this season. Then we have a field spread of 1.6 seconds over the course of the field. Matty qualifying in P10, he'll be concerned with that lack of pace, but he is not far off the cars ahead of him. Now then, we're going to a bit of a wait to get this Grand Prix underway, so no one ready up on the grid. We'll be waiting for a couple of minutes until this race can get underway. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back for full coverage of the Austrian Grand Prix here in NEF1. Stay tuned because this is bound to be an absolute blast of a race. Alright then, I can confirm that the ready up to start the Grand Prix has been given. We'll be racing in 30 seconds time. Here at the Austrian Grand Prix, where the top 10 was separated by just half a second in qualifying. So expect a really entertaining one for this race a lot of laps around this Austrian Grand Prix circuit, which is one of the fastest on the calendar. Should provide for some good racing opportunities, good overtaking opportunities as well. But there is a big chance that we have a massive DRS train all the way through this Grand Prix until the first round of pit stops. Tyre wear shouldn't be too much of an issue here. We'll have a look at the starting strategies. We have Squidge on P1. I'm not saying pole position right now because that lap was set by Tess, who got a 5-place grid penalty for some sort of a weird collision. It's actually been discussed by the drivers involved, Tess and Kit. Neither of them really seemingly knowing what went on. The game has side hand that out, so unfortunately we just have to roll with it. A lot of people starting on the medium tyres, then, as you can see. Everyone but Samo and Hybrid are opting for the relatively normal medium to hard strategy. You would imagine Samo and Hybrid doing something different on those hards. Now then, what else is going to be going on over the course of this race? Big opportunities as well, as previously mentioned, for DRS trains. Overtaking is going to be very much possible. Defense is going to be really hard to put up to. Look for main opportunities for overtakes is going to be into turn 3 and turn 4 after the longer DRS zones. Maybe into turn 1 we'll wait and see, but there's 3 DRS zones around this place in the first and second sector. So breaking away, it's all got to be done in that third sector, and is that going to be possible? We'll wait and see. Good qualifying from BT, qualifying in 6th place, turns into 5th with that penalty. He'll be starting. Ooh, that was close, running into the back of Undercheck there. BT qualifying on the 3rd row of the grid for his highest grid position in a long time. Tess now in P6. He's got to keep out of trouble on this start. Djokovic in 7th, Samo in 8th, Jamar in 9th, Matty Adam in 10th. Now Alpaca, Iwatts, Darren Hybrid, Wigan in 15th, Wilco in 16th, and Kit W41 in 17th. He'll have ground to make up. Here we go then for the Austrian Grand Prix. Round the Alps here, round the mountaintops. Let's go racing. Round this oversized go-kart track. It is 5 red lights, and lights on, away we go, and Squidge gets away well, but so does Nasty. He'll be down the inside. Noah, though, gets a better getaway on the second face at the start. He'll be challenging his teammate round the outside of the third one, and he gets that done. Alpaca's had a bad start, down 6 positions, and somehow has gotten tangled up before we even got to the first corner. So that's Alpaca having a really difficult start to this Grand Prix. The Red Bull of Tess is making moves down the inside of BT. The 2 banging wheels. Tess already up 2 positions into P4. And now is BT going to fight that one round the outside, maybe into turn 4. Definitely can hold the outside around there. And he is going to. Turns into the inside for the next complex, unless Tess uses a bit of battery to get ahead. BT might be too much on this first lap to get ahead of. BT has to slot in behind Tess. That is good racing from the Paradigm. Tess now in P4, but that battle did cost him a little bit of time. Noah now has to be very careful to not lose grip of Squidge here. We have the fast safety car of the Grand Prix, and that is BT, who's out of race after. Did he make contact with Tess or Undercheck perhaps? After that little ding-dong battle in Sector 2, which was looking really good, and he had a brilliant position as well. What went wrong for BT just then? That is triggered the first safety car of this race. As the timing of the safety car was just a bit mismanaged, everyone now going past, and will be forced to catch up on a later occasion. So I think everyone should be allowed to pass that safety car. If not, then we have a problem. Jamar going past it. Everyone overtaking that safety car. Do so with care, because if you crash into it, it's a straight disqualification. So Alpaca as well, be careful of the safety car when you approach it. But I think it's parked on the outside of the track. Yes, there we go, and everyone having navigated that obstacle. It's a shame that the safety car couldn't just collect them. But then we'll do another lap at racing speed. And that safety car came well timed for Alpaca now. She'll be straight on the back of this queue for the safety car restart. Squidge managing the race start fine. Noah and Nasi swapping positions. Tess up 2 positions though, crucially, on undercheck, and Beatty on the start. And that is painful for Beatty, who had the pace around here as well. But the race ends prematurely after what we think is some sort of contact, potentially with Tess or undercheck would be most likely. So then, we got a Williams leading the race, followed by the 2 Ferraris and a Red Bull. Williams of undercheck sitting in P5 with the Alpine of Djokovic. The ever Alpine out of position in P12, but that's gained 3 places on the start. We'll need to gain a couple of more. The only ones not having moved one bit is Squidge, Matty and Hybrid. Everyone else moving about at least 1 place on the start. Most people a bit more. Alpaca having the most difficult start to this race. The safety cars coming in this lap, and oh, Alpaca might have mistimed that, because she'll be hard to press up to that queue. Now she has got to really go, or she'll end up half a lap behind and unable to make the end of the race on those tyres. And this is going to be too tight for Alpaca, who should not have come in this late in the safety car cycle. We're only on lap 3 out of 36. But that wasn't the best timing. See if Squidge holds this. The longer Squidge holds this now, the better it is for Alpaca. But when will he decide to pull the trigger and get this race restarted? He's not giving himself much room here. Coming out of the last corner, that is too predictable from Squidge. Van Noah is right on, and Kit retires from this race after contacting in the final corner before the safety car is even really before the safety car restart has concluded. And now Van Alpaca is the 1 Haas remaining, but a mistimed pit stop sees her down in last 11 seconds behind the field. It's a bad restart from Squidge, but it gets away with it thanks to no DRS. Noah holding position in P2, and Undercheck is doing battle with Tess at the moment for P4, and Undercheck's claimed that position off this restart. Djokovic, is he going to be able to pull a move? No, it's a bit too far back. But Tess now down in P5 again. Let's see how long Undercheck can keep him there. As Noah's right on the tail of Squidge Dennis. We're about to enter DRS territory again. Alpaca, it's a poor strategy for to come in the middle of a safety car period like that. Probably expecting safety car to be out for another lap. It's a tough one. It's a tough hand she's been dealt, but I would assume there's going to be at least 1 more safety car throughout this Grand Prix. This is going to be close then. Here we go. It's everyone within a 1 second gap of one another down to P14. Here goes Noah, full lead of the Grand Prix into turn 3, and he'll have that done. But before we get to the braking zone, Nasi is going to pull a move down the inside as well. Gets a bit wiggly on the exit, and Squidge is going to be able to hang on to it. Yes, DRS heading on to Noah. Will stick behind for the time being. Gets aggressive around the outside goes Nasi. And now the Ferraris are going to do a bit of battling to see who wants to end up the top guy here. This is going to be interesting. Ferrari, Williams, with Squidge trying to pull a move on Noah. Is now P2, but Nasi snatched that lead away from Noah in brutal fashion on his teammate as well. But he is not going to allow Noah any favours here at the beginning of the race. Now the Ferraris and the Williams battling for position here. But is there potentially a bit more team harmony with Squidge and Undercheck than with Noah and Nasi right there? Wouldn't Undercheck have gone for that move on Squidge? I'm not sure he would have. Wait and see. It's a brutal strategy nonetheless. Noah now has a look down the inside of Nasi. Can't do anything with it. Slight contact between the Williams, and that's going to force them back a whole lot as well. And that's everything bad about that strategy. Noah gets past his teammate. Those two, are they maybe just trying to slipstream away? Squidge back within a 1 second margin of them, thankfully for the William drivers. But everyone then in the DRS train down to now 13th. They've lost Mr. Wilco, who's 1.2 seconds behind. Matty's very much in the middle of this train, actually slap bang in the middle of it, trying to make moves from P8 and up past Sam Obama, potentially at Djokovic. See how that goes now that DRS is re-enabled here on the start-finish straight. How quick is that Aston Martin in a straight line? Not excessively seems to be the answer to that question. And now the Ferraris are in a comfortable position. They can dictate a little bit how this defense is going to go down. So they can use each other to stay ahead. I've spoken previous times about NASCAR forms of racing in this league now, with the way that this game is coded with the battery management and DRS. But this is going to be NASCAR-esque racing if you've ever seen it. You can already see that everyone is still in a massive DRS train. Lap 7 out of 36. And this race is going to go by quickly now, folks. So hang on to it, because the lap times are going to... or the laps are going to quickly run away from us. Squidge right on the back of Noah, unable to get past the Ferrari. Needs to get past that second Ferrari in order to have a proper go at the first one. Needs Undercheck to realistically come with him at the same time that he does. Tess, they don't want to pull him along in this situation, as Matty pulls the fastest lap of the Grand Prix so far. I believe Tess is quite happy to just sit back and enjoy this for what it is right now. Going to have a go at Williams? No, but the Ferrari switch places, and they seem pretty content with doing so as well. Noah retakes the lead of this Austrian Grand Prix with Nasi in second and Squidge in third. Squidge now in fourth, actually, haven't let Undercheck go. That may be a little bit of a mistake, because here comes Tess around the outside and turn 4, and the two make contact. Little bit of a ding-dong between the two, and now Djokovic is going to have a go at Tess, and that would be great for Squidge if Djokovic could get past the Red Bull, and he can. And now Tess actually under pressure from Samo Bamo in the sister RB as well. That sister relationship between the Red Bull cars is going to mean nothing in this league. Samo's going to be itching for that position. Samo's having a very, very, very good season. If you're looking at the championship standings, currently sitting in 6th, if I'm not mistaken, which is an incredible upswing from what he had last season results-wise. One podium under his belt in Miami this season, if I'm not mistaken. His first NEF1 podium, and only to date. I'm sure there are more to come. What a breakout start for this season, Sam Obama, for sure. Nasi now retakes the lead on Czech, Squidge, and Djokovic's the running order with Tess in 6th. Oh, as there's a lot of stuff going on. Hybrid Jamar, I believe Wigan might have been involved in that as well. Seems to have sorted itself out, but a bit of ding-dong going on heading into turn 3. We can go side by side, but it tightens up a lot. Now that the DRS train is starting to get broken a little bit. iWatts down 1.7 on Matty Adam. Yellow flags in sector 2, that's been cleared. Oh, and that is close. Sam Obama on test there coming out of sector 2, heading into sector 3. Is Sam going to try to force his way by here? Maybe a bit aggressively. Wait and see. That RB is looking quick, and he's getting amazing grip coming out of turn 1. Close in a lot on Tesser. Is he maybe going to have a lunge down the inside into turn 3? Well, I'll be damned if he doesn't. And he does try to pull a move down there, down the inside. Oh, but just gets out traction a little bit by Tess. Still going to be there on the inside, heading into the next corner. Now there's stuff going on in front with the Williams and the Ferrari. Undercheck is pulling a move on Noah. Samo has to stay behind, but Undercheck did get past the Ferrari. Now it's a 1-3 for Ferrari. It's a 2-4 for Williams, with Djokovic holding up a little, holding up the running order for the championship battle, at least in 5th, with Tess in 6th. If things stay the way they are, Squidge makes a small dent in Tess's championship lead, but nowhere near the levels that he needs to in order to have a chance at catching up. So Squidge needs to start making moves on Noah very, very soon. Now Undercheck is going to be able past Nassi at will, and here we go. It's a straight drag race up to turn 3. Noah versus Squidgen. Who's going to come out at the top of that one? Slight contact as well. That's bound to happen a couple of more times. We have a problem for us. That Djokovic down inside. Now Tess going to have a go around the outside of that Alpine, heading into the next corner, and is going to have that move done. Djokovic holding the inside aggressively. Tess though good on VX, and this is going to go down to the corners as well. Tess on the inside, Djokovic on the outside. Djokovic, is he going to budge? No, he's not. Tess has to give him the room. He's still there, but he has to budge for the next corner, and that allows Matty to maybe having a sniff of a look. Now then, Ondercheck's in the lead of the Grand Prix, having taken Nassi, who's P2 with Squidge in P3. Noah now in P4, and the tables have turned, with Ferrari having the command of this race, and now Williams are starting to work their way up. Now, how long before we see the double play come into effect, so Squidge can get by Nassi for that second place, and they can start dictating a little bit more. Djokovic's had a bad lap, lost position to Tess and Matty now. Tess, when can he start making moves on the Ferrari of Noah? Is he going to be content yet again? We're just sitting behind for a little bit. We'll wait and see. But here comes Squidge then, heading into turn 4 on Nassi. It's not going to be close enough to make a move on this occasion. Iwatts is trying to pull a move on Darren Style as well. He's getting closer and closer into the braking zone, but surely he's not close enough. No, he's not. Darren, though, a bit uncomfortable on the entry, and that is the type of driving that's going to let Iwatts pass in a couple of laps for sure. Samo now down to P8, having challenged Tess for P6 in a just a few moments ago. Still very much involved. The top 8 all running within DRS range of each other. Noah becomes the first car to come into the pit lane for what is a what could be a brilliant undercut, to be fair, to try to get out ahead. Is it hard tires going on that car? Then it'll be a solidified one stop. Yes, it is, and that's a nice helmet sign from Noah as well. That teal and red must be said. Gorgeous stuff. Nassi retakes the lead of the Grand Prix on lap 13. Ondřejk's going to try to hold that around the outside. Can't do so. Tess has fallen behind a little bit. What has happened there? He's now outside the 1 second gap on Squidge, so he'll have had an issue somewhere. Ondřejk now back into the lead of the Grand Prix. Nassi in P2, Squidge in P3, and now crucial for them to start breaking away from Tess. If they keep this formation, Tess is unlikely to be able to catch back up with that DRS. Tess is losing time through that second sector though. Does he have any damage? Not that we can see. Now let's see what happens when we enable DRS, and Tess will have none. Not losing the amount of ground that I thought he would be, but now we're getting into the long DRS zones. Tess again missing out on that DRS, and you can see he's losing time as a result. He's gaining coming out of every corner. He's losing on the straights now without that extra top speed, but that is a mistake from Squidge that allows Tess right back into the conversation. Now we're monitoring the gap from Noah to the leader. How valuable is the undercut around this place? I wouldn't deem this one of the tracks where the undercut would be powerful. We'll wait and see. If he can pull off a big undercut here, then it might propel him well into the lead of the Grand Prix. As the other Ferrari comes into pit, so does Squidge 2017. Have they realized something? Have Nassi maybe gotten feedback from Noah there? Djokovic, 3 second time penalty, multiple track limit warnings. Now, this is going to tell us a lot in relation to when Noah comes out. Does he come out ahead of his teammate? Is the crucial question now. Ondřejk in the lead of the Grand Prix from Tess and Samo Bamo. Now Samo Bamo and Tess in that order. So I believe Noah's going to get out ahead of his teammate, but just. So it's a bit of an undercut, not a massive one. Here goes Noah on Mr. Wilco. Around the outside in turn 3. I don't think Mr. Wilco's going to fight that one overly hard. And bit of a weird line from Noah, but it gets that move done nice and tidy. 1.7 seconds of gap now from Undercheck. When does he need to pit, or is he intend to go long on this stint? Maybe try something a bit different from lap 15 out of 36. So we're approaching halfway stage already, and this race is going by rapidly with 20 laps to go, give or take. Undercheck coming into the pit lane alone. Tess is following him in. Actually, Samo staying out. He'll be maybe trying something different, as Noah has now broken away from his teammate a little bit, 1.4 seconds, and if Noah can bridge that gap over Tess, which he'll absolutely be able to do. Oh, Tess has lost time on that extra outlap, let me tell you that. Needs to come out within DRS range of Djokovic now, and he does not do so, but there's a big train ahead of him that could slow each other down a little bit. Tess now pressed to start hunting people down. Samo's in the lead of the Grand Prix from iWatts and Hybrid. Noah is now in the commanding lead of the Grand Prix, 1.4 seconds down to de facto P2, which is Nasi, who's his teammate. Now let's see, Matty is hunting Nasi as well for what would be de facto P2, so he is in this conversation as well. A bit out of nowhere is Matty Adam 16. Question is now, does Nasi just back everything up a little bit and allow his teammate to break a gap out in front? What situation is going to be going on there? Packer, 3-second time put the multiple track limit warnings, and Djokovic with the fastest lap of the Grand Prix so far. Tess has been able to make up a place on Mr. Wilco, but now running second and a half behind Djokovic and trying to catch up to these guys now is going to be tricky for him. Tess maybe being out-strategized here, maybe not really being used to fighting. I'm not going to say he's fighting in the midfield because he's not, but he's fighting for midfield positions right now. Nasi's under pressure now from Matty, and the two make very, very slight contact on the inside of turn 4, and this is all going to allow Noah maybe to break out a bit more of a gap. Now it's actually decreased the gap up to Noah in, I'm going to say P1, currently sitting in P3, but it is P1 once everyone has made their pit stops. The gap that Noah had might be disappearing now if he can't break away, because now Matty has the DRS on him and he'll be itching for a Grand Prix win. Matty, fastest lap at the Grand Prix, fastest man on track, and he is showing that at the moment. Jesus Christ. Mind you, this should be the only pit stop the drivers make throughout this race, unless we have another safety car, which I'm sure a couple of people right now would not mind. I would assume Jamar is one of those, currently fighting for the lower amount of points, but the guys ahead of him, watch these couple of names. Jamar sitting in P9, seemingly not great, until you realize Samo's out of position in P1. Okay, fine. But then Noah, Matty, Squidge, Undercheck, Nasi, Djokovic, Tess. Suddenly P9 sounds a lot more impressive from Jamar. P10 sounds more impressive from iWatts. Jesus Christ, the caliber of driver inside that top 8 right now is incredible. Let's just do this as an experiment. Matty, a one-time NEF1 champion. Squidge is competing for a championship. Onrachek's a one-time NEF1 champion. Nasi, former championship contender. Tess will most likely be a one-time NEF1 champion by the time this season is over. That's a lot of experience in that upper half. So there we go then, just had another audio issue that I had to sort out. Noah then leading Grand Prix still from Matty and Ondrejek. Djokovic and Nasi Squidge And then now Tess has been invited this little battle as well, which is always dangerous, inviting Tess in something like this. As JVA saying keep it up, Gotama. That's followed by Jamar now running in a P9. He's gonna be doing battling with IWATS for the moment. Should be said as well, with a result like this, Williams is gonna make massive gains on Red Bull in the Constructors' Championship. Samo Bamo then comes into the pit lane, just on declining rapidly down the field, but that was a scheduled pit stop. And he'll now be racing. He didn't lose, obviously lost quite a bit of time, but he's very much involved in this, is Samo, on that better medium tyre. This is going to be impressive, and now Noah is very much involved in the battle with Djokovic as well. Not seen these two battle too many times in NEF1 so far. Noah, though, running into the back of Ondrejek, and that may... I was speaking about NASCAR racing earlier. Bit of bump drafting there from Noah, trying to get Ondrejek to just hurry it up a bit. Need your help with defending from a three-time NEF1 champion in Djokovic here. But he's handled that nicely. Djokovic still in P4 with that 3-second time penalty, mind you. It's going to be frustrating the drivers behind, but he's not obliged to let anyone go for sure. Now testing in P7. Samo's catching in 8th with that better tire as well. 15 laps to go, so we're actually approaching the closing stages of this race already, and Matt is in the lead at the moment, followed by Ondrejek, Noah, Djokovic, Nasi, Squidge in 6th. Gonna try something around the outside of the Ferrari of Nasi, but that's never gonna work. Switches to the inside. Be hard pressed to pull a move in this situation. Maybe trying something down the inside. As a look at it, force his way down the inside, but that's a bit too much. And now that is going to allow Tess to have a go. And is this just pure pressure building up for Squidge now, because Tess takes that position away easily, and Squidge now seemingly having lost composure a little bit, and he's dropping places. Meanwhile, his teammate is sitting in prime position to take his first NEF1 win back since returning a couple of races ago this season. The man with the most consecutive wins in NEF1. I think everyone should be quite worried if Ondrejek starts winning races again. Not going to be involved in championship battle. I don't think it's mathematically possible for him to win the championship anymore. I'll do the maths on that later, maybe. But definitely a massive threat is Ondrejek 51. As Noah and Djokovic once again inside and outside, heading into turn 4. I believe Noah just has the advantage. Actually, that advantage switches to Djokovic for the inside of sector 2. I believe Noah's just going to have to budge out on that occasion. Now, Ferrari in 4th and 5th. And now Tess will be next in line to have a go at those two. As I'm speaking, Samo's advantage has halted a little bit, but still very much there. Nasi needs to be careful now. If he's going to pull a move on Noah, that needs to be done nicely and cleanly, to not lose any positions to Tess. So Ondrejek staying behind Matty at the moment, seemingly quite disinterested in trying to pull off a move yet. And we've seen Ondrejek do this before. Just sit behind drivers, waiting them out. And here we go for a little cheeky move down the inside. Maybe is that just scaring Matty at this point? Potentially. So how's Matty coping with this pressure? I would imagine his room smells, let's just say, less than pleasant right now. Ondrejek putting the pressure on him like no one else usually does in NEF1. He's just going to be waiting this out for lap after lap after lap now, until he feels now I've got enough of an advantage to break away. And we saw Ondrejek get so proficient at this throughout the entire F1 23 game cycle. It's a bit different this time around because the regen of the battery is so much quicker, but it's still very much doable. as Noah, as there we go, Undercheck now past Matty Adam into the lead of Grand Prix. Noah had such a promising start to the Grand Prix. Now, though, his tie is just on to fade a little bit more than everyone else's. 11 laps old, older than anyone involved in this little battle. Matty's fighting back on Undercheck. Undercheck, who I don't think is going to be too fussed about trying to get that position back immediately. And Tess is now involved in this battle as well, currently sitting in 4th. That turns into 3rd with Djokovic's penalty being added on after the race. As for penalties, we can see it there. Hybrid 10-second time penalty, Alpaca 9 seconds, Darren 6 seconds, and Djokovic 3. Everyone having made the mandatory pit stop. J-Man now involved in a battle with Iwatts for 9th and 10th. Sam Obama well clear of them in 8th. He is now almost within touching distance. 1.2 seconds behind now is Sam Obama on Squidge. And if he can get within that second, he can start putting those better tyres to a bit of use, because there'll still be good grip in those medium tyres for another 3, 4, 5 laps. As Nasty tries to do something on Test, but it doesn't really bite, and Djokovic is having a go at Matty, which will be incredibly frustrating for the Aston Martin with that 3-second time penalty. Sorry, Djokovic with the 3-second time penalty, not Matty. Forgive me if I misspoke. But this is turning into one heck of a battle, as Iwatts are going to pass Jamer, and those two are just trading positions every now and again. Wiggins having to go around the outside of Hybrid, heading into, I believe that's 6 and 7. Heading into turn 9 and turn 10 is the final corner then. So we're going to be able to get past Hybrid. Points not ruled out. Could be difficult, but a couple of time penalties to be added on at the end of this race that could help him out. Noah is going to pass Nasty coming out of the exit of turn 3, and Squidge he's just dropping back a little bit too much. Djokovic now having taken the lead of this race. 3-second time penalty to be added on, but maybe prefers to cross the line first if nothing else. But Undercheck, this is actually a big help to Undercheck as well. He'll now be a bit more difficult to overtake if he can sit behind Djokovic and avoid passing him. So unless Djokovic can somehow magically break away now, this is actually to quite a big aid of Undercheck in this fight. As here goes Test then, round the outside, maybe a Matty Adam into turn 3, trying to pull off a move. Matty breaks late on the inside, very good at breaking in the fence is Matty, and Tess realizes that, can't do anything about it, into the corner. But he's going to have a go out of the corner. Now maybe on Djokovic as well, heading into turn 2. That's turn 4. Needs to get past Djokovic now. Needs to get past him, or he'll let Undercheck slip away. And he is past. Now Undercheck and Tess for the Grand Prix win. As now Samo's in the middle of this, and he started making moves. He is involved in a battle with Squidge at the moment. We just can't afford to be battling that for P6. Now 3-second time penalty. That's killed Squidge's race, unfortunately. Noah with a 3-second time penalty as well. Djokovic aggressively trying to go around the outside. Samo 3-second time penalty, and what is he doing? Right now, a lot of penalties being dished out. No one really gonna be able to capitalize off these, though. Oh, and Noah's had a problem sitting down in 8th now and 6 seconds behind Sam Obama. Something will have happened to that Ferrari to cause him to lose that amount of time. Question is what? We won't know for the duration of this stream, I can tell you that. Ondercheck, Tess, Djokovic, Matti and Nasi now the battle for the win of this Grand Prix. You can probably count Djokovic out of it. And the main battle between Ondercheck and Tess. As they are gearing up for the final 7 laps worth of racing action around this Red Bull ring. Any threat of rain looks to have been cleared a couple of laps ago. We're now having blue skies over the Austrian Alps. And it's going to be dry running until the end of this race. It would have been nice with some rain around here, to be fair. Could be one of those really entertaining racetracks in the wet, but hard to judge. Tess Van down the inside of Ondercheck relatively early on lap 29 out of 36, and Tess for the first time leads this Austrian Grand Prix even after having been down in 8th at one point, battling away with Samo and Noah. Now leads the Grand Prix after just having been so solid. As Ondercheck Van has around him up the hill down into turn 3, and is he going to have a go around the outside? Yes, he does. A lot of history at this corner for that Red Bull. Ondercheck retakes the lead of the Grand Prix. Van Nasi in 4th, Matti in 5th right now, being squeezed out by the Ferraris, former teammates, former team as well. Matti now in the Aston though, having a look at Nasi around the outside turns, maybe into the inside for turn 6, turn 7? Not quite. That's a cheeky little look, but nothing more. So then last of the points runners right now is Jma. We can probably expect Wigan to get a point or two away from this race as well, with the amount of time penalties to be added on at the end. There's still a lot of racing to go. 5 laps to decide who wins this Grand Prix. Is Tess gonna make it yet another win in a row here, or is Ondercheck going to get his first win back into NEF1? Well, we might know in a few corners time if something bad happens. If not, this is going down to the wire. Ondercheck and Tess just battling away here for P1. And wouldn't that be a nice little championship battle in the future? Ondercheck and Tess, maybe the 2 fastest drivers we've had in NEF1. Djokovic included in that as well. Nasi on his day. Squidge really good in qualifying. Seems to just fall away a little bit right now in the second half of the season in the Grand Prix though. Quite getting up to the start of the second half of the season that he would have wanted. As here goes then with 5 laps to go, including this one. Ondercheck leads, and that's a problem for Djokovic, who has a massive snap of oversteer coming out of turn 1. And that's unleashed Nasi and Matti into this battle as well. And that's changed the dynamic of everything, because already Nasi is having a slight go, letting Tess know that, well, I'm here, I'm in competition. I fancy a win here in Austria. As Tess down the inside of Ondercheck into turn 4, tries to go for a move through turn 5 and heading into 6 and 7. Tess holds the lead from Ondercheck, Nasi and Matti. Djokovic now in 5th. What are those time penalties that will be added on at the end of this race? A lot of 3-second time penalties and a problem for Djokovic now, running down in 7th, which is not going to say always bound to happen, but but it's been a bit sloppy. Here we go, then. Nasi gonna try to have a go at both Tess and Ondrzej. Maybe now, maybe on the last lap. He's closing. Ondrzej retakes lead from Tess. Nasi just looking for a gap around the outside. Gap's not really there and getting a bit uncomfortable in the exit as well. Matti following him. He's hunting his first win of this season. But is this trio gonna be the one that gives him a win? It is so hard beating one of these drivers. Beating the pair of them, or the three of them on the same time, that is borderline impossible. 4 different drivers, 4 different teams battling away for the win here at Austria. It's absolutely gorgeous. Squidge, 1 second down. He's battling away with Samo at the moment for P5. As Tess has a slight look at Ondrzej heading into turn 1, but now he's going to have a real look heading into the braking zone at turn 3, and it's going to fly by, and is Nasi going to try to follow him through? Ondrzej around the outside, still there under the brakes. DRS opens up for who? Is it going to be Ondrzej or Tess? Ondrzej with the chance to defend this back. Left 34 out of 36. We've got 2 laps to go at the end of this one. Ondrzej retakes the lead of the Grand Prix. Nasi throws his car in there as well, but is unable to make that stick. Tesvo still down the inside of Ondrzej heading into turn 5 and 6, but he's not going to be able to make it work. Oh, sorry, 6 and 7. Ondrzej leads from Tess, Nasi and Matti, who's just a 1/10 of a second behind. These 4 cars separated by half a second. Sharing the very same piece of tarmac. How bad is that dirty air for Matti Adam? He'll be getting no aerodynamic performance whatsoever due to the 3 cars ahead of him, but he is powering on like always. Samo involved in this as well. Should not have a freezing time penalty. Unfortunately he does. 2 laps to go. Tess pulls a move, maybe down inside into turn 3, but it's not going to work. Is that Wiggins had a problem coming out of the final corner? Yes, it is. We have yellow flags in sector 3, everybody. That's been cleared. Green flag and it's racing conditions. Nasi around the outside of Tess, maybe into turn 4, but it's not going to happen. Through 5, 6 and 7, and heading into the last lap of this Grand Prix, and this is where it's going to be decided. Is Ondrzej going to be able to hold off the onslaught from Tess that I'm sure is coming? Is Nasi going to be able to take Tess for a fool on this last lap? Is Matti going to be able to subvert expectations? We have about 3.5 to 4 kilometers to go, and just over a minute before we know who wins the Austrian Grand Prix. Here we go. 5 cars running within a second of each other. Make that 6 cars with Squidge there in the backdrop as well. Here we go, and this is racing at its purest. The first overtaking opportunity usually is up here on the hill into turn 3, and Tess is going to go for that early. He's going to go for it down the inside. He sacrifices DRS for the next part of the racetrack. Now, is that going to allow Ondrzej to maybe have a comeback here on the closing stages of the first and second sector? Now, he powers through. Tess is going to have to be bold on the brakes if he wants to make that work. He's not going to be able to make that work. Surely, Matti powers his way through Nasi, but is he going to be able to make that overtake stick? I don't think so. Nasi has the inside. Tess is forcing Ondrzej round this turn 6, turn 7 complex. Nasi just hangs on to the place on Matti Adam. The 2 side by side make contact. Matti is ahead, but Tess is not going to be able to make this work. The streak ends at, I believe, 3. Ondrzej defended an onslaught, but he comes back to win his first race back in New Era. A race winner, and it's by 1.5 of a second, followed by Tess. And Matti Adam takes a podium in 3rd. That is hard fought for Matti Adam. Nasi in 4th. Samo with a perfect P5. Squidge with a P6. Loses yet more ground in the championship. Djokovic in 7th, followed by Noah in 8th. And the race that was looking so promising and Noah really has shown today that he can battle with the very best of them, but he just couldn't today. He couldn't make it quite work. Jamar in 9th, followed by Iwat in 10th. And that rounds out the points finishes. But that is crucial for Sam Obama as well in the battle for best of the rest. I'll have a look at those standings next race, as I am sadly unable to get them up on screen for you today. But that battle, let me tell you, it's separated by about 5 points. Jamar, Iwat and Samo Bamo. But what a finish to the race. Ondrejek is back on the top step of the podium here in NEF1. The one-time NEF1 champion from the Czech Republic. Is this the start of something special? We'll wait and see. He had to work for it. Tess gave everything to snatch that at the end. But crucially, he made a mistake going for the overtake just that bit too early heading into turn 3. And that's what gave Ondrejek the win in the end. Did Ondrejek maybe bait him into going for the move? We'll never know. Ondrejek emerges victorious once again on the NEF1 stage, with Tess in P2 extends his championship lead, and I think we can now call the championship almost a done deal. It'll be within touching distance within a few races' time. I might be crowning a new NEF1 champion. Tess in P2, Matt in P3, which is massive for the battle for P3 in the standings. That is between himself, Nasi, and Djokovic. Matty now claiming that third place in those standings. And that is one hell of a race to see out the Austrian Grand Prix on this game cycle. I really hope you have enjoyed it. Sadly, the standings disappearing away from us there. They'll be uploaded later on, obviously, in the drivers Discord as well, and you're free to just go back a couple of minutes in stream and you'll have the full standings right as we went across the line. But then that has been it for the Austrian Grand Prix of NEF1. Once again, congratulations to Ondrejek, once again a race winner in NEF1. Well done to Tess and Matty on running out the podium. And Jesus Christ, Nasi gave it a really, really good fight, just coming up short in the end in 4th. But that is it for the Austrian Grand Prix. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back next week for what I believe is the Portuguese Grand Prix, but don't quote me on that. But that is going to offer up something very, very different to this week. So stay tuned for that, because we'll be back in 7 days' time for more racing action in NEF1 Esports. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good night, and take care.